The movie begins with a young traveler named Yossi, who has always been fascinated by adventures and unexplored places. His heart is restless, and he believes life's true essence lies beyond cities, in the wilderness where survival is a challenge. Driven by this spirit, he sets out toward the Amazon rainforest, a place that has always captured his imagination. Before stepping deep into the jungle, he stays for a while in a nearby town that is popular with tourists and backpackers. It's here he meets a fellow traveler named Marcus, who shares the same hunger for exploration. Their shared interests quickly turn into a strong bond, and the two find comfort in each other's company. Through Marcus, Yossi is also introduced to Kevin, a photographer who has often ventured into forests for his work. The three men form an unshakable trio, camping together, telling stories, and making plans for bigger adventures. For Yossi, this feels like the beginning of something extraordinary. One day, while wandering alone in the town, Yossi encounters a stranger who seems to know him already. This man introduces himself as Carl. With an unsettling confidence, Carl reveals he knows Yossi's dream of exploring the Amazon and hints at a hidden indigenous tribe deep within the jungle, a tribe untouched by modern civilization. He offers to guide Yossi to them, claiming that he has been there before and knows the paths no outsider would ever find. The very thought of encountering such a tribe excites Yossi beyond measure, and without questioning how Carl knows so much about him, he agrees to go. Not only that, he convinces Marcus and Kevin to join. When they all meet again, Carl brings along a rough map and outlines the journey ahead. It will take several days through dense forest and wild rivers, but the reward, he promises, will be unforgettable. With spirits high, the group prepares. They board a small plane that takes them closer to the rainforest and then begin their trek on foot. For the first few days, everything feels like a grand adventure. They walk by day, camp by night, and share laughter around fires. But the jungle quickly reminds them it is not a place for comfort. One night, Marcus is bitten by an insect that leaves his head swollen and painful. Though the bite is not poisonous, the scare rattles the group. The next day, heavy rains turn their path into a miserable struggle, but they press forward, unwilling to quit so early. Eventually, they come across a small settlement where villagers welcome them with kindness. Yossi and his friends realize Carl has been here before. He is treated as if he belongs. The warm hospitality is a relief, but it also raises quiet questions about who Carl really is. The journey continues, and soon Carl shows a side of himself that unsettles the others. He kills a monkey for food, even though hunting is forbidden in the region. The others are shocked, but Carl brushes it off with laughter. The unease grows further when Marcus's feet become badly injured, swollen with blisters that make it impossible for him to walk. Carl suggests resting for several days until Marcus recovers, but Yossi and Kevin are restless. They want to keep moving, to push deeper into the jungle. Against Carl's advice, they propose building a raft to travel along the river. Carl warns that the waters are treacherous, but Yossi and Kevin insist. In the end, Carl reluctantly agrees. The raft journey starts peacefully, but soon the currents become violent. The river surges with a force none of them had expected. Kevin, stubborn and eager, wants to ride the waves further, while Carl urges caution. Tensions rise, arguments flare, and Yossi finally steers them to shore before disaster strikes. That night, as they camp, Carl declares he will no longer continue by river. He plans to lead Marcus on foot, believing it safer, while Yossi and Kevin may do as they wish. The group reluctantly splits. Carl and Marcus head off into the jungle, while Yossi and Kevin return to the raft. They agree to meet again at a designated spot in a few days' time. At first, the river feels manageable, but soon the storm arrives. The raft is tossed violently, smashing against rocks and nearly breaking apart. Clinging to the raft, Yossi and Kevin are swept downstream. Desperation consumes them. Kevin decides the only chance of survival is to jump, swim ashore, and then throw a rope back to Yossi. With immense courage, he leaps into the furious water and, after a brutal struggle, makes it to shore. But before he can help his friend, the river's current shifts, pulling Yossi away. Helpless, Kevin watches as Yossi disappears into the chaos, his cries swallowed by the roar of the river. Miraculously, Yossi survives. He washes up on a bank, weak but alive, clutching the bag that carried essentials, including a Bible and some survival tablets Carl had packed. Alone, frightened, but determined, Yossi ventures deeper into the jungle, hoping to find Kevin or some sign of civilization. Hunger and exhaustion gnaw at him. At one point, he climbs a tree to pick fruit, only to be bitten by a snake hiding in the branches. Miraculously, the bite is not fatal, and Yossi, desperate for food, kills the snake and eats it. But loneliness begins to unravel his mind. One night, he sees Marcus standing before him, smiling. Overcome with joy, he moves toward him, only for Marcus to vanish like smoke. It is a hallucination, born of isolation and despair. The jungle becomes a merciless test. Yossi battles wild animals, drives one away with fire, and endures a horrifying moment when an insect burrows into his skin. In a gruesome display of will, he pulls the creature out of his own head. Days stretch into weeks. His feet are torn and bleeding, forcing him to rest in makeshift camps. He scavenges eggs, eats whatever he can find, and keeps moving, driven only by the fragile hope that someone might rescue him. But the forest also deceives him. He imagines meeting a native woman who comforts him, only to awaken and realize she, too, was an illusion. Meanwhile, Kevin survives. Rescued by locals along the river, he pleads with authorities to search for Yossi. A rescue plane is sent, and Yossi, still alive in the jungle, hears its engines overhead. With a burst of hope, he waves a red cloth frantically, praying they see him. But the plane passes, blind to his signals. Yossi's heart shatters, yet Kevin refuses to give up. While officials assume Yossi is dead, lost for over 2 weeks in a forest where few survive even 5 days, Kevin holds on to faith. He convinces an experienced villager to guide him back into the jungle, determined to find his friend. Yossi, meanwhile, reaches the edge of breaking. His body is frail, his mind slipping into despair. In a desperate attempt to revive his will, he strips himself and throws his body against a tree swarming with ants, allowing their bites to ignite his fading spirit. The pain drives him forward once again, and he leaves signs scratched into the earth, hoping Kevin will follow. In one heartbreaking moment, he spots a tortoise, picks up a rock to kill it for food, but then feels pity and lets it go. Hunger presses in, but compassion wins, even in his darkest hour. Just as he is ready to surrender to death, fate intervenes. Kevin, still searching along the river, notices Yossi's mark on a tree. His heart leaps, proof his friend is alive. But the jungle refuses to make it easy. Even with this clue, Kevin cannot find him and nearly gives up, believing Yossi must have already perished. As his boat begins to pull away, Yossi, lying weak and broken near the river, hears the sound of its engine. Summoning the last strength in his body, he cries out. His voice is nearly drowned by the roar of the waves and the boat's motor, but at the last moment Kevin turns. He insists the driver bring the boat back, and then, through the trees, he spots Yossi. The reunion is raw and emotional. Both men collapse into each other's arms, weeping with relief. Yossi, skeletal and scarred, can hardly believe Kevin is real. Against all odds, he has survived more than 2 weeks in one of the most unforgiving places on Earth. Together they return to the village, where locals marvel at Yossi's endurance. Few, if any, had ever walked out of the Amazon alive after being lost so long. The story ends with the revelation that Carl was not the heroic guide he claimed to be but a fugitive criminal who had manipulated the group for his own purposes. Marcus's fate remains unknown, swallowed by the jungle. But Yossi's ordeal is more than survival, it becomes a testament to human resilience, faith, and the unbreakable bond of friendship. His courage inspires those who hear his story, reminding us that even in the darkest corners of the world, hope can keep a man alive. And that's how this incredible true story comes to a close. We'll meet again with another amazing movie explained in detail. Until then, take care of yourself, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below.